Hi, I'm Angie Pontani, the burlesque superstar who has spent the last 20 years shimmying and shaking around the globe. I've performed in showrooms, ballrooms, small rooms, and big rooms, every room except a mushroom. Along the way, I've met some amazing people, and I'd like to introduce them to you. Together, we will pull back the curtain to reveal what really happens behind the glitter, feathers, and tassels. So join me for the bump and grind. Guys, it's my first podcast, and I am so excited to be here and be able to share all of this with you. I don't know how you've been spending your pandemic time, but I know I have been at home going through a lot of old photo albums, cleaning out the closets, getting under that bed, and it's kind of been like flipping through a picture book of my life. So launching this podcast right now seems really time appropriate because it's certainly something that I've been thinking about. I don't think I've ever had this much time to reflect upon my life. But as I do, I have to say I'm pretty pleased when I look at all the adventures that I've been able to have, and I'm thrilled to now have a platform to share those with you guys. So for my first interview, I wanted to talk to somebody who I just felt represented burlesque so beautifully, both on stage and in life. And for me, there's one person that consistently comes to mind when I think of burlesque, and that's my girl, Kitten De Ville. She's the queen of the Quake. She's a Miss Exotic world champion. She's a true burlesque superstar. She has traveled the globe. She's worked in realms beyond burlesque as well. And she has been my adventure partner on quite a few tours and trips. So our conversation was like an amazing stroll down memory lane full of champagne and red wine and amazing stories and tales. And when I think what is burlesque, even before I knew her, I thought of Kitten De Ville. And before we get into our conversation, I just want to say there's this one photo of Kitten De Ville, and she is on stage in Helendale, California, and she's wearing this green spangly bikini set, and she's down on her knees and her signature hip thrust, right? And her arms are behind her in like this victorious, defiant toss back. And she's got this amazing look on her face that I can only think of joy when I see it. And her blonde hair, her pin curls are loose around her face, and she's just in that moment. And that photo to me really transcends what burlesque is. If you had to put burlesque into a picture, that's the picture. And then when you get to know her, you understand it all even more. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to it with the one and only Kitten De Ville. So I was like trying to think about it, and I was like, okay, when did we first meet? Because we have literally known each other for almost 20 years. And yeah. I was literally going through my photo albums to try to figure out when that first was. And I know it wasn't the first Teaserama because you were pregnant, or did you just have
what year was that? I was one of the two. I just had her.
2001.
Okay, yeah, I had her in 98.
So
or
she
something
was
like that. Yeah, so I didn't want to travel. I was still probably breastfeeding.
Yeah, no, totally. So then we first met officially at 2002 at Bimbo's Teaserama, San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah. Dita posted a postcard from that Teaserama, and she tagged me in it last week. And I was looking at the lineup, and it was Dixie Evans, and it was us, and it was Dita and Catherine and like the Devilettes and so many other. I think it was the Cantankerous Lollies. Harvest Moon. And then there were so many other names that I didn't recognize, but I just thought that was so crazy.
No, we always had such good lineups.
I mean,
when you look, I'm digitizing all my memorabilia, so I always steal set lists. Or not steal, I take them at the end of the night. And I was going through some of the set lists. I was like, wow, this is a really good show.
Oh
This is
no,
a really good
totally.
show.
Well, and I felt like back then, like, at the start of burlesque, really, like the early 2000s, late 1990s, the shows were definitely more large in scale. And it was like maybe there weren't as many of them. There definitely weren't as many of them,
No.
but concentrated in New York and Los Angeles, and I think New Orleans, the shows were much bigger in scale than it was today. Don't you think so?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, when we started with the Velvet Hammer and we were at a proper theater, I mean, it was real theater. We weren't doing it in small venues so much, and it was more grander and with programs. I mean, we really did spend time having the larger shows, and I think that's because it was just started. We had this grand idea of what it should be. And also, I think rents were cheaper back then. There was more
Yeah.
places that were more opened to doing shows that you can actually get into a venue, maybe.
Oh no, I think it was totally more of like a Wild West mentality. And even
Yeah.
within the venues, like they were excited about it and wanted to have it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was kind of like before these big entertainment companies were buying up these venues to promote their own artists. So I felt like you had like a better opportunity to get in there.
Yeah.
And the Velvet Hammer certainly did that, because those shows were like, you were in, wasn't it in the El Rey Theater,
Yeah.
right? It's
At
like
the
this
El Rey.
huge, beautiful theater in Los Angeles, an
Yeah.
amazing cast.
And
Like,
that's how we started. Like, that's all I know for the beginning. So we had already set the bar pretty high for when we started. This is what we expect.
and how
burlesque.
did you start in that show? Like, were you friends with Michelle Carr, and was it like a scene thing, or how did you, because you are burlesque, you're so burlesque. So I want to know if you became burlesque or you were burlesque and then you just happened upon that show.
Michelle Carr and I were go-go dancers for Club Fuck and Cinematic. That's how I met her. And I made all my costumes look like old vintage burlesque costumes because I collected men's magazines. And my idea of what a go-go dancer or dancing would be like, I need to wear these costumes. So even though I wasn't doing burlesque, I was making my dance costumes resemble burlesque costumes to go-go dance in. And Michelle Carr was Tura Satana, Betty Page look. So she was always wearing pasties and a G-string or bullet bras. And I think we just started talking one night about burlesque and don't you wish there was actually a burlesque club? And, wouldn't it be great? And then we had another friend, Elvia, and she wasn't a dancer, but she's the one that kind of masterminded it and put together. I think she solidified it, all our ideas, and made the business part happen, and it became the Velvet Hammer. So I was in it from the very beginning of the conception of it. And then for me, it was a huge swindle because I didn't strip down to pasties back then. I just stripped down to my burlesque costumes.
Oh my God, I remember. You had the bras with the net and then the pasty on top of it. Oh my God.
Underneath the net. So old vintage burlesque costumes were always nets over pasties.
Yeah.
And so back in the early 90s was go-go dance, I always had like huge padded bras, just like like more Jay Mansfield, like I wanted that look. So for me to like take off that bra, it'd be like the great disappearing act. And you can't take that off. So I was more shy about going down to pasties. So I just went down to my bras that looked like you saw. No one knew those weren't my pasties under the net. And that's why I designed it that way. So it just became, kind of my signature costumes out of me not wanting to go down to pasties. But so when I was go-go dancing, I'd wear those costumes anyways for 3-4 hours go-go dancing, and people pay what back then, $5 to get into a club? I don't know. You would see
totally
me,
$5 at the door.
And I would get paid, I think it was $75 or $100 back then to go dance all night. And then with the Velvet Hammer, I put on more clothes, stripped down to the same costume, was on stage for 3 minutes or 4 minutes and got paid double or triple what I was being paid for go-go dancing. I was like, wow, this is the biggest swindle. And people are like, yeah. I was like, okay, this works. This is fun.
So funny.
Yeah. So that's how it all came about. And I just always thought like, wow, this is I'm taking this ride as long as I can hold on.
No, totally. And I think it's funny, like with what you say about the costumes, like I felt like in a sense, like when it was all beginning at that point, there was so much freedom and like we were all just kind of discovering new things and there was no bar. We were all just kind of setting our own bar. And that's what
Right.
really made it so exciting to be around at that time.
It really was, because there was no YouTube that had videos, even vintage
Right.
burlesque. Like Something Weird video was not out at the time. Like
No,
there
you'd
was
had to have the
nothing.
VHS.
Yeah, and you couldn't really Google a live act. For me, I just saw men's magazines and just still photographs. And my background is rock and roll and punk rock. So in my brain, these women are moving to that kind of music, wearing those kind of outfits. So the way I dance is my conception of rock and roll and these outfits. And when you look at real movies from back in the 50s, it's nothing like that. And I'm really glad I had nothing to base, no formula, like
Yeah.
nothing like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be. And I think in the early conception of it, it really was that freedom of everybody took their own idea of what they thought was sexy and burlesque and threw it out there. And there was so much more variety and interesting acts and performances. And I think nowadays, and I don't want to sound old, like, oh, nowadays, but I feel like newer people get into it, feel like you have to have the uniform, a corset, a billion Swarovskis, a big fancy boa. I mean, everyone, there's almost like a checklist, I feel like.
Oh, totally.
That newer people are feeling obligated to fulfill.
Oh, no.
And I think we had more freedom when we started because there was no rules. Like it was all fantasy. So you could be anybody on stage. You didn't have to stay in your box of what
Totally. And your dance style was like your dance style. And that's what I specifically, when I first saw you, like your styles is so unique, and it is still so unique. But like, as you said, with YouTube and like the new people that have come in, sometimes I'll see somebody do your backwards roll and I'm like, oh, I'm doing a Kitten De Ville. Or if they're like on their knees and they do that up and down, that you always do. I'm like, oh my God, that's Kitten. And in the early days, I do feel like everybody had their distinct style, like Dirty and Julie and the Pontani sisters. And everybody was so distinct. And we weren't, I don't want to say polluted, but our inspiration came from really ourselves and not each other. I mean, we inspired each other, but it wasn't kind of like this global force of, oh, look, everybody who is, working a ton is wearing this bazillion-dollar outfit that I don't know how they're ever going to pay for that.
Right. Well, and I also think we respected everybody's individualities. So, you had a distinct look and style, and I personally would never want to step on anybody's toes.
Right.
So it's like, oh, they did that move. And I love the way they did that move. There's no way in hell I would get on stage and ever try to recreate that move, because that move would have been so Angie Pontani or Dirty Martini. And you just you didn't cross that line.
No,
you
totally.
would never, you would be inspired, like you said, but you would never use that
you'd be like,
signature
I'm gonna do Kitten
move.
somersault. First of all, I could never do Kitten somersault. That would be tragic and a career ending for me.
Oh my God. And I couldn't do I always remember doing our group number and how backwards I am because I can't take direction, I guess. So I always felt like I was the blonde comic when we were doing everyone's taking right and I'm starting left
Well, but also Kitten and I have done several tours together, and every tour, everybody's from New York, everybody's like 5'4" and has brown hair, and then Kitten's like 6'4", this beautiful, gorgeous Hollywood blonde, and the New Yorkers. But I think like going back to the lack of the YouTube and the lack of these styles. Like in the beginning, I felt like it was super cool because it was like you had these styles. Like LA was so Hollywood, so glamorous. New Orleans was like sweaty and jazzy and oozy, you know, and New York was,
Yeah.
God knows, New York is crazy as it's always been,
New
you
York is
know.
always naked.
New York is always naked. That's I think that's the goal.
I know. I know. Well, you are like, you're not the typical
Yeah.
New York.
No, we're little goody goodies, you know.
But I love that.
We're like the rejected Rockettes is what we were at that time.
No, but it's very true. Every city had its flavor,
Yeah.
and it was very. It was nice that way. You can tell where people came from.
Totally.
It brought an extra pop to the shows. It was, you had this variety. And
Oh yeah. And even as other states started to come aboard, like, or cities rather, like when Chicago really started to pop up, I felt like they were like so Fosse, you know, like
yeah,
obviously
yeah.
like Michelle Amore was like first person that comes to mind, but just so dancey and so like jazzy, you know.
Yeah.
And then when Texas came in, Texas was just bigger, you know, and troops of dancing girls. And like, I just thought that was really exciting. And I do feel like when you talk about how it's changed in the past 20 years, that we have lost some of that because everybody wants to be, you know, at the top of the game, and they'll say something like, oh, this is the top of the game. If I wear my corsets and I get this bazillion-dollar costume, I'm gonna, you know, win Miss Exotic World
Yeah.
and, you know, have the creme de la creme of the burlesque titles, which we both have.
Yes, we do.
But I do believe that we both won our titles at a time when it was very different. So what year were you?
Um, my first trophy was 2000, and I had second runner up. That was the very first time I went to Exotic World, and I won Exotic World in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
And that was also the first year that they actually had judges that they brought in from people who who knew about burlesque or pinup or had some kind
It
of
wasn't just
cultural
like
reference.
folks from the neighborhood.
No, and before it was like that. It
Yeah.
really was the person from the bar down the street or whoever Dixie could wrangle in
Yeah.
and be a judge. So I think from the shows, I think going forward from probably 2000 to the present for Exotic World, I always want to say 2002, but I think that's just because the year I won.
Yeah.
No, but you can trace the line, and people are still the same dancers are still dancing.
Yeah.
Or, it really was when burlesque took back Exotic World, because before that I remember there was maybe 7, 8 performers who were burlesque, and the rest were strippers from the desert, or legends, or, and even that was a small handful. And nowadays it's just, I feel like that's where we all met and we all kept coming back. It's like She Told Two Friends and so on.
Oh,
and
totally.
so on. And it just grew out of that. And
right. Well, that's around that
made all our
time is when like
connections.
Dirty won, you won, Julie won. I know Michelle won.
Yeah. I
It
think
was.
Michelle was the last one to win in the desert in 2005.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
remember that.
And you were
I was 2008. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was the tragic year that it was at the pool at the Palms, where at the last minute they banned boobs and everybody
Yes.
had to wear an underbra. And I remember I was flying. I had a show in New York. I was catching a flight at 6:00 in the morning to Vegas, and I was in the dressing room. It was probably midnight, and somebody called me. I think Little Brooklyn called me and said, you can't do pasties. You have to have an underbra. And I went home, made it, got on the plane, flew to Las Vegas, performed in like 40-mile-an-hour winds.
Yes. it was like the old days at the ranch. Really.
You know what? Everybody was complaining about it, and I loved it. I think this is one of the things I love about you, because we've gone on tour so many times, and some people are not adaptable to different environments. I feel like if you want to make it in show business at any level, you better be able to change in a van in a parking lot and not just the green room with the caviar and the champagne. Like, it's like you get it all. So that fueled me. I was like high on adrenaline. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. The wind was just like whipping. And I remember I said to the stage manager, David Bishop, I said, I don't care what happens to any of my costumes. If they all blow away, let them go. If my boa blows away and you're not standing at the side of the stage holding my boa for me when I need it, I'm gonna kill you. I will kill you. And in the
Yes.
video, you can see my boa blows away and David's just running and he gets it and holding it. But I felt like that was part of the energy of Exotic World and of early burlesque that I do miss. I miss that element of it. I mean, it's nice to
Yes.
grow, of course, 20 years later, you want to have a dressing room, but I still get a
Yeah.
little kick when you know, have the alternative situations.
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel Exotic World to me was more extreme burlesque back
Yeah.
then, especially the ranch when it was held at 3 p.m., 4 p.m. You know, it was 103 degrees with that wind.
Extreme burlesque, like that's what it was. And it
Yeah.
has changed quite a bit, the
It
pageant.
yeah, it's now it's expected to have all this glamour and just this such a it doesn't have that unexpected, anything can happen. This is only going to happen here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The organic energy has certainly changed, and I think it has I always say, like, when I don't mean to demean it, because winning the title meant a lot to me, and like when I did it, a lot of the judges were all legends. It was like Satan's
Oh,
Angel and Tiffany Carter, and I think like April and Tura Satana, and like it really meant a lot to me to, you know, get their approval. Um,
yeah.
but I don't think I went into it. I know I did not go into it thinking like this is going to make my career. I didn't make a new
Oh,
costume. I didn't even make
yeah.
a new act. My costume was sequence.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, you know, I just really went to kind of have fun and to be among my peers and just have the experience. But I think a lot of times now people are kind of going into it thinking it's going to create a career for them or something different. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. I think they are putting way too much pressure
Yeah.
on themselves and just the whole idea of like winning what this title means.
Mm,
And it's true when you and I won, I think we all went into it as this is just going to be a bonus or it's fun. And of
yeah.
course I want to win, but it's not going to make or break my career. And it's not like, oh, look at me. I've got my,
Yeah.
you know, it just was, it was just a bonus. It was fun. It was fun to be there. It was fun for the experience of it. And
I think
yeah,
I think a lot of that too, that energy trickled down from Dixie Evans, the woman who
yes.
started it, right? So Dixie came up with this concept. In spirit, you remind me of Dixie a lot because she would just be like, "Whoa, I have this idea, you know, let's do it," and then it just happens, and it's amazing.
Yes.
It's like this real spontaneous, beautiful energy, you know, and you guys developed a really good, you guys were close friends
Yes.
from the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah.
Like you would go out there and help her with things like in your
Yeah.
downtime.
Yeah, and it was nice. I going through my box of memories. I've been coming up with like letters that I had
I
forgotten she
found
had
a
written
letter from
me.
her today, kid.
Ah, and it's so nice. I was like, oh, I forgot how much Dixie used to send me mail and
Yeah.
little letters and thank yous. And I just remember her always saying like, oh, you know, you're the only one who can bump and grind the way you bump and grind. And she was just always so supportive and, you know, really happy to share and encourage and to foster the art of burlesque and friends with everybody. And I just love her also showmanship
Oh yeah.
of calling the press and being, and when you went to the desert out in the middle of nowhere in Silver Lakes, there would be press from all over the world in this weird little event. And she was, I mean, that was all because of her.
Yeah.
She's I guess calling people up on the phone around that, you know,
Mhm.
there was no real internet and just spreading the word. And her gift of showmanship brought press
Oh,
and
totally.
people and car clubs. And
So
she's
for people who
amazing.
don't know, Exotic World was a ranch in the desert that was started by Jenny Lee, who was a famous burlesque dancer from the 40s and the 50s. And it was created to preserve the history of burlesque, right? And also it was kind of like old dancers could come and live there, right? It was almost like this
Yeah.
like culty ranch communal thing.
And she wanted to start it to be a retirement
Yes, that's it. She wanted it to
community
be a
for,
retirement community.
yes,
She was the Bazoom girl.
yes.
And Dixie went out there. Jenny Lee became ill, right? And Dixie went out there to help care for her. And ultimately, after Jenny passed, Dixie took over the museum. And to drum it up, she decided to start the Miss Exotic World pageant, which we now know as the Burlesque Hall of Fame, the reigning queen of burlesque title, that now goes on in Las Vegas. This is an actual museum in Las Vegas now. But it was really Dixie, I feel, that spawned all that. And that pageant started in 1993 when Pillow won, I think.
I think
It
so.
was
I
the
think
early
so.
90s
Yeah.
when it started. And then I think that is really what drove as the kind of match point for burlesque and really set it all off. And
Yeah.
from Exotic World, once that pageant kicked up, folks like Kitten and Dirty and Julie were all going out there. There was a big LA presence. That's what really started to bring everybody together and create the excitement and the enthusiasm that then spawned events like Teaserama and the New York Burlesque Festival, which became the global forces in making burlesque like what it is right now.
Very true. Very true. I mean,
But
you were the first festival, weren't you?
we were, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were the first
New York
festival.
Burlesque
New York Burlesque
Festival.
Festival was the first festival outside of Teaserama, because Teaserama, it happened a couple of years in a row and then it stopped and it doesn't exist anymore. Well, and she hasn't done it anymore. Who knows? Maybe they'll come back.
Right. Yes. But I feel like yours
but-
was a different,
Yeah.
like Teaserama was Teaserama. I feel like it wasn't so much of a festival as
Yeah.
it was more like Exotic World as a gathering of tribes in a way.
Totally. Yeah.
And where your festivals set the bar of what festivals are. I mean, in fact, people have copied your formula.
Oh, yeah.
Haven't they?
Yes, they've even copied our application. I was like, this is familiar. Showbiz.
Yes, yes.
But from Exotic World, you and Dixie became friends, and Dixie sanctioned you to do her producer's tribute act.
Yes,
Do
and
you
I
still do it?
I still do it. And I just came across the VHS with her teaching me on it. It's on the little one, so actually today I just ordered an adapter so I can put it into a VHS player and watch it again. But I went to the ranch where she lived, and she, with Ivy when she was a little baby, and she spent a day, or maybe it was 2 days, teaching me her number. And when you look at the filmed version of her number, it's kind of really tame and it's good. But when you hear Dixie tell it, she's like, and I got down on my knees and I crawled to the director's chair and I put my head in it. And and she's like, and I played low down, dirty blues and jazz. And the beginning, she said she started with Hooray for Hollywood, and she'd walk on with her suitcase. And so she was teaching, I wrote down the songs that I used, the Hooray for Hollywood and One More Chance. I don't know if that's the name of the song, but it's a part where I go down on my knees and I'm begging one way or the other to have my second chance of the casting couch. And then for the third number, I used Man with a Golden Arm. And that is, I kind of got in I can't say an argument, but a disagreement with Dixie, because I was like, well, what music did she use? And she's like, no, you have to make it your own routine. You have to use your music. You have to make it Kitten De Ville or it won't work. And I just remember saying, but it's your act. I'm doing a tribute to you. And she's like, no, you have to do your bump and grind. You have to do Kitten De Ville. And she kept insisting that I use my own song and I bring myself into the act, which of course she's right. I mean, it works that way. So it's not just, her song. And, but I just remember feeling really weird. Like, how am I stepping? First, it was already intimidating to do her number. And that came about because when it went to Vegas, they wanted people to do tribute acts. And I said, oh, of course I'll do Dixie. And she's right there. She'll teach me. And it was the most stressful time trying to recreate trying to perform that act in front of that peer group.
Oh yeah.
It was, trying to step into Dixie's shoes was, I did it that night. And I put it away for, I think, 3 or 4 years and didn't do it again. I was like, that's the only time I'm going to do that act. And then when Viva Las Vegas started, and I knew the stage because it's the Orleans and it's the same stage we use for exotic or Burlesque Hall of Fame. I was like, oh, that's a huge stage. It needs a prop. And the only routine I have that has any kind of a prop is the couch. So I was like, okay, I'll bring the casting couch for this. And Dixie happened to be backstage that night. And we were talking, and the host of the evening was like, wait a minute, this is the lady who taught you that number? And I was like, yes. So they brought Dixie up on stage completely impromptu and called her out to talk in front and introduce me for that number. So that was the second time I performed it.
No pressure.
She's talking to, no pressure.
Oh my God.
No pressure again. But I enjoyed it that time because it wasn't exotic world. It wasn't in front of all the legends, and I had already done it once, and then it became my favorite act, and it's still so risque. Out of everything I do,
your dirtiest number. It is hands down. I remember when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, kid is getting dirty."
I know, and it's from the 50s. So I mean, it really is. When I do that number, it's just like I'm gonna be arrested tonight.
Oh no, I remember thinking that, and I know, like, because I did the Blaze Star tribute in Exotic World, and I wrote her several letters, like, to get her permission to do it, and I was really scared because she was a little salty. Like, I love her, but she had sass, and she didn't say yes to me right away. I had to, like, tell her what I wanted to do and send her pictures of the costumes and send her pictures of me and, like, do all this stuff, and then she eventually said yes. And I remember when I went to perform at Exotic World, they brought out her props. Like, she had the smoking couch, and it literally, all the legs were broken on it. Yes. Like, can you do this? And they were like, you'll be fine as long as you don't step on this part. If you step on this part, the whole thing will flip over. But if you step on the other part, you'll be okay. I was like, I'll be okay.
No pressure. Like, just one more thing to think about on stage.
But it is nerve-wracking. But, like, I don't know. I consider myself very lucky to be able to say, like, okay, like, I have a number from a legend that she did, that she made famous, and that she told me that I could do, and gave me tips on how to do that. That's so amazing.
It's really a nice passing of the torch.
Yeah.
It really, and I think it's a huge responsibility in a way for us too, to keep that torch alive and keep doing those numbers. And it really is just the threading, the sequence of.
I always feel like a little special when I do her number,
Yeah.
And I imagine that you do the same with Dixie's.
Oh yeah. Yes. Every time. It is one of my favorite. I just have to, and because it's a couch and it's like, I'm not always performing on the same couch. I cut my director's chair a couple inches so I can fold it up and put it in my huge suitcase, and I can travel with my director's chair, but I can't obviously travel with a couch. And so I've performed on many different couches, or hey, let's just tape all these chairs together and make it a couch. And I've broken a few couches while on stage, the feet fall off and trying to make it work. And when I was in Hamburg doing Queen Cavalier, the stage is like the size of a bar top. It's super tiny.
I've seen photos.
So I did Dixie's number for that, and I just used the chair instead of a casting couch. I just stayed with the director's chair, and it was really on the fly. Like, this is going to be whatever it's going to be, but it worked, and it came across as what it should be. But I think that is what we're talking about when you first start doing. When we started burlesque, it was really on the fly.
Oh, totally.
Like, you just kind of took it. You weren't expecting to have all the bells and whistles, and you made it work. It was really showmanship.
And that's like, it fuels you, I feel like that's really what gets the adrenaline. And not to be, I love walking into a big theater and have everything taken care of, and they're like, here's your crudité, but
it's to know that all of a sudden your 20-foot stage is now a 4x4 go-go box,
and you can make it work.
You can do it. Yes.
And you can do it. That's kind of the thing that I love. But
yes.
You and Dixie, I felt like you had a special relationship. I felt like you guys were really simpatico. You have a similar energy of like, let's just put on a show, you know? Um, so in 2013, Dixie had a stroke. And I just remember this so clearly because she had separated from the Hall of Fame at this point. She was not involved in the Weekender. It was a very challenging time for a lot of people. Um, and you obviously maintained a close friendship with her. And I remember after she had her stroke and she needed a lot of physical therapy and things that she could not afford to get, like the insurance was offering her like half of what she needed to really recover. And you had gone to visit her. And I remember you called me up and you were like, this is just like totally unacceptable. Like Dixie is the reason we're all here. Like we have to do something. We have to help her. And I was like, well, maybe we could do like a show or something. And you said something and I wish I remember exactly what you said. And you were like, she needs like a week of shows.
Yeah, no, it's true.
It was
true. Yeah.
But from that, we created Dixie Evans Week, which was a global effort where we brought in several different producers and performers like Baby Doe, Joe Weldon, Michelle Baldwin, Dr. Lucky, us. Who am I missing? Yeah. I don't remember. Maybe there. I can't. I think that was it. But and what we did a global fundraiser where we designated a week of Dixie Evans shows all around the world. And we put out a call for producers and teachers to all either do Dixie-centric shows or teach a Dixie-centric class and donate their funds so that we could get her the treatment that she needed. And we raised, I think, over $42,000 for her.
And and that was just from one, just you and I organically, like I visited her. I think I took that photo with her and I sent it to you, right?
Yes,
and was like, we have to do something. And it was just how it is Exotic World going on right now. And nobody knows what's going on with Dixie. Mm-hmm. Like, how is this allowed to be like this? And that's like, you were my first phone call, like, Angie, we've got to do something. We have to do something. And we made it happen. And just the love and outpouring. And I think just the information of, something is wrong with Dixie. Dixie needs our help. And the outpouring of love that she felt from people, because I think at that point she felt pretty abandoned by our community because of the split with Burlesque Hall of Fame. And I'm just really happy that, at the end of her life, she knew we were all there for her and that all these shows were going to go on. And there was so many people that had her, that was holding her and that loved her and that we were making this happen. I know she was very excited and happy for what that people were putting on shows basically to save the farm. It's so old timey.
No, totally. But that was her whole vibe.
That's her thing. Yeah.
And it was like, people from all over the world. And she loved that attention. And I remember we had asked the producers, like, write her letters, like, so that she knows what you're doing. Cause Dixie wasn't online sitting on Facebook all day and people were writing her letters. And it was just really moving to see everybody kind of come together for her at that time.
Yes.
And it was your idea.
It was both of our ideas, but I knew that like with both of us on board, we were going to make something amazing happen quickly.
It happened super quickly, and that was what was
the organization skills of Angie Pontani is
mixed with the ambition of Kitten De Ville.
The spontaneous, like, we can do this. Let's do it.
This is like,
I don't know.
Kitten and I are very similar. We call each other like the East Coast, West Coast sisters because we are very similar, but we're also like totally opposite too.
Which is why we're so great together.
It's perfect.
It is. And we're both Scorpios.
Oh, that's right. The best.
It is.
Dixie ultimately passed before we had Dixie Evans Week. So that was a bit heartbreaking. We had her cremated and put in the memorial. What's it?
The Westwood Memorial Cemetery next to Marilyn Monroe.
Yes.
Like the little alcove where you can put ashes and and
pretty amazing.
Yes, because that was her idol, and
Yeah.
she was the Marilyn Monroe of burlesque.
Yes.
So it was a perfect pairing of where we were going to have another shrine to visit to know, to remember
Forever. I know.
Dixie.
It
Yeah.
is perfect. I'm so
Yeah.
happy. And we even got, I remember we got her obituary in the New York Times, and I know Leslie Zemeckis helped us with that. But I was like, I know Dixie would love this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure. And I have a few papers that were local papers out in my area too that had covered the memorial in Vegas that we also
Yeah, we
had
also
for
covered that.
Dixie in
Totally.
Vegas. And yeah, those made the papers as well, not just in Vegas.
Dixie told me this really funny story once. She was talking about like being in burlesque and growing up and everything. And I said, well, she was talking about her mother or something. I said, well, are your parents cool with it? And she said, well, they weren't until I was in Minsky's and I bought my mother a mink coat and she called it her Minksky. She's like, then she was fine with it.
I love that.
Yeah, she always had a good story.
Yes. Oh, she was great with stories and names. And I feel like whatever subject you brought up, she had 5 stories to go along with it, with like, oh, we ran guns to Cuba or something. They were always some outrageous like movie themed topics.
Said in like her sweet grandma voice. Do you, Kitten, consider yourself?
Oh, I've got it. Yes, I do, because I've been told so much that I am, or a modern legend, or which when people were first saying that, it was really embarrassing, or it's like, how do you say that to me when there's these real legends walking around, and and it was uncomfortable for me at first. And then I realized, like, oh, well, like you and I and Dirty, we're all on this first level of the modern burlesque, and it makes sense. But I also don't want to be put out to pasture. And that was also when I remember they had me at Exotic World or Burlesque Hall of Fame do a Legends Night. And I remember being so insulted that they put me on Legend Night as the the only young girl on Legends Night. And I was like, they're trying to put me out to pasture. They're like saying I'm done and over. And I was really insulted. Like, I don't, this is not fair.
No.
And then I didn't realize it was actually a place of honor. I was thinking it was, she's old news.
And I feel like too, though, there needs to be some title, and maybe it is legend for like our era of people, because it's like, okay, we came in the 90s and are still doing it. And when I looked specifically at the Teaserama lineup for that year, there was really only a handful of us that have continued to do it. But like, when you collectively look at our body of work, it's like we've all spread out, been around the globe, like shared the art, and definitely have inspired others to come aboard. So I think someone needs to come up with a name for us.
I know. I really, because legend just seems like a place for the ladies that were from the 50s and 40s and 60s, but it doesn't ring quite true.
Yeah, somebody's gonna have to. Maybe we'll do a contest for that.
The best name for our group.
Totally. So from your beginnings, so you started out really with the Velvet Hammer, and from that time, like, you've done a ton of stuff. And the thing that I love about you too, and then I think that, like, if young burlesque performers want to emulate something, emulate this, like, to get out of the box a little bit. Like, you've done stuff everywhere. You've done so many different things. Like, you've walked runways, you've been in photo shoots with like tremendous photographers. You've done so many different kinds of shows. Like, talk a little bit about that and some of the career highlights, like from when you first started, and the concept of not just you're a burlesque performer, but that doesn't mean that you're just a burlesque performer. It's entertainment.
Right. Yeah. So I started just from go-go dancing. So I was already doing nightclubs and dancing, and even before burlesque, I think I've already done like the Cramps video and Rob Zombie or White Zombie, and had done Jean-Paul Gaultier's fashion show for AIDS Week in Los Angeles. And I think that was 92, 90, somewhere around there. It was early 90s anyways. And so I never thought of burlesque as just like, oh, burlesque is my only career and my only thing I can do. And definitely who I am, like Kitten De Ville, is what I do. You know, it's not a box of like, oh, it's only burlesque, because I can do runways or I could do modeling, or I find it this weird happen upon things that happened to me. Like for the Gaultier show, I was go-go dancing at Club Fuck, and Jean-Paul Gaultier came in and saw me and asked me to be in his show. And, and at the time I didn't know who he was. I was like, why is everybody so excited about this man? And okay, I guess I'll do your show. I don't know, but I don't want to wear those shoes. Those are ugly. I remember telling him the shoes he wanted me to wear was ugly. And I wanted to wear my big high heels that I wear to dance. And I know.
Did he let you wear your big high heels?
Of course.
Yes!
But it's just, you know, and I met David LaChapelle at the Graveyard watching movies, and he liked the dress I was wearing. I said, oh, I made it. And he's like, oh, can I put your name in my phone? And then we became friends. So that's how I started working with David LaChapelle. And my friend Annie Sperling is his video, his artistic director. But it wasn't like introduced in a way of like, here's Kitten De Ville, you should know her. It was just, we weren't introduced yet at that time. And so that's how I started working with him. And when I was dancing Christina Aguilera's birthday party, I was go-go dancing for it. And the person who was casting for Autofocus, the movie, came up and was like, oh my God, we've been trying to cast for this movie. You would be the perfect dancer for this movie. We want you to come out and meet the director. And so that's how I got in the movie Autofocus with William Dafoe and Greg Kinnear, was just because I was go-go dancing. And I feel like my life has been this Schwab's drugstore moment kind of life.
I like that.
Where people just come up and like, hey, would you like to do this? And so I never think of a box. And maybe that's also is just like my mindset that I can do anything and I'm willing to try anything. And my philosophy of life is to say yes, and then think about how am I going to do it is like the second thought. Like, yeah, you know, I'm like impulsive. I'm like, let's make this happen. So I do that to myself too. And it's just like, oh my God. Like, so for teaching, I didn't start teaching burlesque until I went to Washington. And Indigo Blue had said, hey, I hear you're coming to Washington. Would you like to teach a class, a bump and grind class? I was like, sure, why not? And then hung up the phone and was like, what the? I don't know how to teach a class. I've never took a dance class in my life. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I spent, I think, a good month breaking down my movements, which is just organic and I'm just doing my thing, of how am I going to teach this to 20 girls? And it was such a lovely experience. And it was such a high of just their energy and learning. I was like, oh, I'm bringing this back to my hometown, which is Riverside now. And I want to start a school here or start teaching here because I got so much from sharing what I do. And that's how all that started. But yeah, I always say yes. And like, yeah, I'll do something. And
I think that's like showbiz though. And I think that's
so.
Part of the magic. It's like, and I remember when I was like 16 years old, I was in LA and I was on like, my babysitter was like a PA on a soap opera and she brought me on set and I met one of the guys in the soap opera and it was totally cheesy, but he was just like, this is my showbiz message for you. Like, always say yes. And if they ask you to do something and you don't know how to do it, figure it out.
Yeah,
and that always stuck with me. So it's like so true. If somebody's like, do you know how to like, you know, hula hoop and rollerblade? I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, I gotta get hula hoops and a rollerblade.
I'm the best one. I can do this. No problem.
I'm doing it right now.
Oh, it's so true. It's so true. And it's like, it's the same thing. Like I've always wanted to be in a band and do, you know, something. I'm like, oh, I'm going to try to sing. And now I have a band. Or I just recently joined the Teenage Werewolves. And he's like, oh, well, can you drum? And I'm like,
oh my God,
sure.
You are not, are you drumming?
But not like a drummer, but on the big, like, what are they? The tom, you know?
Yes.
And I'm trying. I'm still not, I don't know where the one is.
How
I
is
said,
it that
keep it
important? How important?
well, that's how I feel. I feel like I'm more just prop and eye candy,
Yes.
but I'm like, yeah, I can drum.
No one is going
I
to
can.
critique your drumming.
so, so I'm doing that now too, and it's fun. I mean, it's just I have so much fun doing different things. It keeps it real and alive and mixing the worlds together.
Yeah.
It's bringing.
It's all connected. And
Yeah.
do you still like, I know, like, I feel like your performances, they really like the joy that you feel when you're performing, especially when you have like an amazing audience. It just like comes right through you. Like there's no like fourth wall with you. It's right there. Like, do you still get that like tremendous joy and kick out of like being on stage?
Oh, definitely. Yes. It is my happy place. And actually probably my favorite place to be is on stage dancing. And I am the kind that I like to connect with the audience. The closer I can be, the better. The more I can see them, the better. If I can jump in and roll all over them, the better. I really am the person who I just need that connection and that energy. And I love that. And the way I do my numbers is it's loosely choreographed. Like I know all the hits when I want to take off my clothing and things like that, but I don't have dance step. I'm real free to be where I'm at. So I use that to my advantage when there is an opportunity to get into the crowd and play around or, things like that. And it really is after my husband died, I had thought like, oh, maybe I should like take a break from performing or, what will people think? And during that time, I was doing shows with the Teenage Werewolves and one was coming up and I canceled it. I was like, and then the more I thought about it, I was like, I need to be there. I need to perform. I need this. And it was kind of the lifesaver for me was to be able to go and perform and feel that happiness and that joy and just feel that light. And then from that show, it's like, you know what? I'm doing me. I'm
It's
keeping
who you
and doing
are.
what makes me happy, and that it really is. So it really is performing for me is one of my happiest.
And I think that is what
places.
Sean would have wanted you to do because he had the same spirit as you. You guys were like
Right.
freaking punk rock, ride or die, like, and I think that that's, what made you both you. And I don't think he would have, I think that's what he would want.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, 100% for sure is that. In fact, because like when I was thinking about should I or should I not, I felt like I heard him go like, "What the fuck are you doing? Go do it!" Like,
I was not surprised at all. I was like, "Go, kitten! Don't stop! Don't deprive the world or yourself of you."
Yeah, so that was, we did those shows and then Tiki Oasis. And then we had some shows, a whole UK tour set up. And because of the pandemic, now I'm not performing, but now I'm kind of enjoying the have to have a vacation and I can't do anything in a way. It's a luxury. That's how I'm taking this.
I feel like as a performer, this whole period in time is pretty interesting because it's like I've never been home this long. I've never been with my husband this long. Like I have never been in the same place this long and not working on something because I've really just stopped working on things because I'm like everything's just been canceled for the foreseeable future. So it's like it's an interesting place, but like I just see the pictures of you and what you're doing now, and I'm like, well, you're still creating art, just sitting in your yard and going on your hikes and looking so perfect with Jack Atlantis. I'm like, oh God, they're so perfect.
It's easy to look perfect when you have Jack Atlantis as your arm piece.
It takes two to tango. But so like going back to the 2006 tour, I remember we had Fisherman Xylophonic Orchestra and it was so ambitious. I literally think we made 45 cents on that tour. We had like 20 people in the cast. Big dreams.
Yes.
We had a live band
so
and
I
love performing with a live band. We've done it together there. We did it with the Hookie Loud. We've done it together a bunch. And I feel like historically in burlesque too, there's such a connection between live music and the performer And you talk about going off script, just having milestones in your act that you perform to, not having the whole thing choreographed. Like, don't you feel like performing with a live band is such an extra like kick?
Oh yeah, I remember from the beginning when we first rehearsed with the band, because they didn't really know my routines and stuff like that. So I remember them being kind of just straight with the music. And then like a couple shows into it, they were like, oh, could we do this? I'm like, if you could do anything that makes me shake my ass, anything more, like just do it. Like do whatever you want. I'm going to ride this. And it just the connection of performing with a live band, and the more you perform, like when we were on tour, it just got better with every show. It was just so much more energy and power, I think, because we're just feeding off each other and the audience. And I prefer dancing with a good band like that. I mean, I've done a few shows where the band was just kind of not so energetic, and it's hard to do that because you want a little bit more oomph, and they're giving you a little bit more, I don't know, AM radio? I don't know what they're giving me.
Well, I think that it takes a certain amount of confidence from both the performer and the band to kind of take that leap together, because the best part is going off script, you know, like and just freestyling. And that's the thing, like, you know, my husband has a band and we perform together. We have to get you to Vegas to perform with them, because I know it has almost happened, but we have to make it happen when we get back there. Because it's just, you know, the guys will take that ride with you and they'll just go, and the drummer watches you and hits the hits. And it reminds me of stories that Dixie would tell me of, like, I remember Dixie was like, the bands always hated me and they wrote on my sheet music that I had no rhythm. I couldn't hit the hits, you know, like someone had written that on her sheet music that she took from city to city when she was on tour.
I love that.
But I love performing with a live band, and I just I know that you do too, and I don't think that everybody does. I think that some people don't enjoy the freewheeling of it, but
right. And I think that brings us right back to the beginning when we were just getting up and making it all up and doing our own thing and having the confidence in ourselves that we can just get out there and do something that the world's not seen in 20, 30 years and call it this art form and have the confidence of performing. And I think that's the safe zone of nowadays. People want it so safe, such in a box with their canned music. And I've got all my hits and I know, and it's super choreographed. And I mean, sometimes it's beautiful to watch when it's that way, but I feel like it's behind glass.
Yeah.
You don't get any energy and you might as well be watching a video. And for me, a live show has to be like Lux Interior, Iggy Pop. It has to, the reason why you go see a live show is to see spontaneous interaction. Anything can happen. I'm not quite sure. And even if it is super choreographed, it's the energy that anything can happen that a good performer will bring. As you know, like when you're on tour, you're doing the same show every night. And it's usually like slightly, you know, it's your energy that is bringing it out there. But that's what, for me, makes a good performance, is that live, anything goes. And so if you add the band to it, that's just an extra element of like, surprise.
And you love it so much. You love it so much that now you're in the band. And so was this tour that you guys had to cancel, was it the Cramps tribute tour?
Yes, it was the Teenage Werewolves. So I had a few burlesque shows in Helsinki set up before tour. And then it was a full month worth of touring with the Teenage Werewolves and all over England for, I think it was 13 days and nonstop, which I was really looking forward to because it's not burlesque travel. It's traveling with kind of like what we did, the band. So we were performing, we would jump in a van, go to a hotel, get up the next morning, perform, you know, it's just city to city. It was back to back. And it sounds kind of tedious in a way, but for me, it just sounded so exciting and fun. And my only concern was like, how am I going to make my pin curls?
Oh my, that's been your concern. That has been your concern since 1999. I remember when we were on that first tour, you were like, when am I going to pin curl my hair?
It's hard
Constantly.
yeah, it's just because I'd be so envious with just the wigs and the falls that everybody else just like threw on, and like I can do whatever I want all day long.
Yeah.
And for me, it was the timing of washing and setting my hair, and does it have enough time to dry?
No,
and
it's
then
an
restyle,
art.
and
it's an art.
Yeah, people just don't even understand.
No, it takes a lot.
Sometimes people are like, oh, but you're only performing for 3 minutes, as I'm paying you how much money, or you may, and the work that goes into those 3 minutes on stage has hours behind it.
Oh, absolutely. It's and like weeks and months of prep and like,
yes,
it's crazy.
Costume making, concept, all of that.
Even now, like with this quarantine life, right? When people started doing shows on Instagram and everything, at first I was like so not into it. I was like, I'm totally not going to do this. And then my friend, Sir Richard Castle, asked me to do one of his, and I was like, I'll do it. And I did it, and it was really put together well, and I loved it. But the amount of energy to perform a number in my basement at home, it seemed like 10 times the amount that it takes to do it on the road, and I was like, why does this feel this way? And I think
there's no energy.
There's no
audience. It's flat.
But I'm like, it literally takes me all day to film 3 minutes of me getting undressed in my basement. And I need claps.
I know. I was asked a couple times, and I said yes, and then I was like, you know what? I can't get myself together to do. I mean, just it started to feel very daunting. Like, where in my house am I going to film this? Mm-hmm. And what kind of lighting do I have? And do I want to spend all this time getting made up for myself? Like, that's what it felt like. It felt very isolated and self-serving. It didn't feel like, and I know it's being put out for people to enjoy because we're all locked down, but it just, to try to make it happen did not feel like that. I felt like I wouldn't be able to put my best foot forward for it. But when you wrote me up for this podcast, I was like, oh, I could talk and that'd be fun. We could chat.
Alive again. Alive. It's definitely
and so I did take the effort to put hair and makeup on.
I know. And I wish that I did.
You're beautiful. Well, the only reason why I did is because I knew you would, because I feel like you're always made up. So I was like, oh, Angie's going to be full makeup. I can't not have makeup on. So today's the first day of, like, how long have we been locked down? 9 weeks?
Oh my God. 9 weeks.
9 weeks that I've actually have some, curls in my hair and makeup on my face.
Girl, when you have your first show, when you get out of this, you're going to like explode on stage.
I think so. They better watch out that front row.
Seriously. So do you remember like specifically your first performance and like your burlesque performance? Do you remember that night? Because I'm sure you probably had a similar energy that night.
Yes, I do. I did 2 songs. One was Sinner by the Cramps. I dressed up like a nun and went down to I had a flame outfit that I had made anyways for go-go dancing. So I just stripped down to that outfit. And then Buster Poindexter's Pink Champagne. And I came out with a bottle of champagne and a pink nightie. And it's just like, it's so old-timey burlesque cliche. Like, oh, a nun to a sinner. And, the bedroom girl with her champagne bottle and Teddy nightgown on. And I do remember it. And we weren't sure, because we were the first burlesque show, I believe, in LA in 95. No one was doing it. And we didn't know if anybody was going to show up. And we did it as a dinner show that night. It wasn't at the El Rey. It was this little restaurant theater. So it had, it had the capacity to be a dinner theater type spot. And so we did. It was like a dinner and a show on Valentine's Day, and Little Pedro's is where it was at. Sounds so glamorous, right? Sometimes the names, but yeah, that was the first place we had it. And Lex and Poison from the Cramps were there. And
oh my God!
Like, what? Yeah, it was pretty great. And it sold out. But we didn't know if it was. We didn't know if anybody was going to turn out. And I just remember it being so well received. It was so much fun, but then, yeah, like me, kept thinking like, God, this is a swindle. Like people are paying all this money to come, well, all this money back then. Right. I don't know, what was it? $10, $20 or I don't know what it was actually for the first show. But I was just thinking like, this is so much fun. This is me doing like go-go dancing. I'm just atmosphere.
Yeah.
I'm just part of, even though it's the same costumes and I put just as much love and energy into go-go dancing, being on stage and it's like my concept and my little theater piece. I fell in love with it. And we didn't have any long-term goals. It was just the show and it went so well. So then there was another show. And then there was another show. And starting back in 95, I never would have thought it would be here now in 2020. Like there was no long-term goal. My goal was I'm doing this as long as I can. And I used to think, oh, I've got a good 5 years. I've got a good 5 years, then I'm going to be too old. I've got a good, and now I'm like, oh, they're going to have that big hook and drag me off the stage because I'm not leaving. But I do remember thinking, I have 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
5 years, I can do this. And then I'll be too old. I can't do this. It's so weird now thinking that way.
Oh, totally. But, I've been reading a lot. Like I was reading about Sally Rand and Gypsy Rose Lee and a lot of the older gals from the 30s and the 40s. And they performed unapologetically, like I think almost into their 60s. And I think they still performed a lot of them and they passed when they were still performing.
Yeah.
So I think the concept of the ageism kind of came in a little bit later that crept into our heads that we're now all just like F off.
Right.
I still look amazing.
I know. Well, that's how I feel. And I just honestly, I never think of age or how old I am or how young somebody is, especially in this field there's so many young girls that I never think of as really young.
Yeah.
I always think we're on the same playing field. Like we're all the same until somebody starts speaking music or something or put a time up. Like I was born in 98.
Yeah. And you're like, wait, what?
I was already burlesque dancing. Wow.
Oh, totally.
But it's funny how when I first started, my thought was like, oh, I've got a good 5 years.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
there was like this, for some reason, thinking there was like this is the rule.
No. And like to just like about the passage of time and everything else. Like, so you've had this completely amazing career and at the same time you have a family.
Yeah.
And so
three
girls.
3 daughters. Yeah. 2 when I started and pregnant with Ivy like in 98. So I was already burlesque dancing and then had Ivy, which do you remember in the van?
Oh, yeah.
Ivy on the phone and I would put it on speakerphone and her crying.
Crying.
Like,
I remember her crying in the van. I remember when you would come and stay with me for like weeks at a time and she would be Skyping and crying. I feel like I've watched Ivy grow up.
Ivy cry up. No, I mean, and it sounds horrible saying that, like, she was crying. But I mean, she wasn't always crying. It's that bedtime time when mom's not there. And
it's hard.
And, it really is. And for me, that's where touring for me kept me sane.
Yeah.
Because it is like trying to raise a family and being unapologetic about what you're doing as well. I kept everything really honest and this is my lifestyle and I never tried to hide anything from my children and because I always wanted them to be strong women. But also and all the hustle it takes to put tours on and I homeschooled Ivy her whole life too. So there was all that. Like it was always somebody home. But so by the time I got onto tours, it was just like, oh, thank God. Like I can think, even though I'm working really hard, it was my vacation. Touring and performing is my vacation time is what it felt like for me.
Oh, totally. I feel like, having a kid, it's like there is no downtime like in your house. Like I literally have the door barricaded right now so that she'll leave me alone. But it's like nothing gets done. Like you're never really free. And so,
and you're never first either.
No, like you're last.
Prioritizing anything. So like all those years, I was always last. And somehow I made, I don't know how, like looking back and when you think of it, it's like how I somehow made all of that happen. But yeah, and like we are the last in line of who gets what and what time or, yeah, time and money and all of that attention is zero for like the mom's the low totem pole on that.
Oh, totally. But I feel like, when I had my daughter and like, I kind of was like, I'm going to go right back to work. And then I realized what it really entailed being home with her. And I was like, I have no energy to put towards work. I did a couple shows and I was like sad because I was like, oh my God, I'm a mess. Like I'm exhausted. Like I can't get myself together. But then once I finally got my groove and I would think of you often, I was like, okay, this is it. Like it's hard to leave, but it's worth it to get it because that's who you are. It's a piece
Yeah,
of who you are and you can't let that go. I didn't
no.
want to be the mom that was like, you ruined my life.
Well, I remember telling everybody, like, because people are like, oh, when will you perform again? I'm like, call me at 6 months after I had Ivy.
Yeah.
Like, I'll start performing then. And I remember the phone started ringing and emails like, hey, can you perform? And thinking like, I don't want to leave. Like, she's too little and cute. I didn't want to leave, but thinking I got to go.
Yeah.
I have to become myself. And it's the same experience where at first it's not really super fun. You're not just ready to jump out and be like, bye.
Yeah.
It's really, you've got that cuddly new baby going on and you can easily fall into that. Like, I'm not doing anything ever again, but doing this and kind of making myself go perform. And I would have fun when I was out, but it wasn't like how I am, like, oh yes. And then eventually, like you said, you find that groove again. You're like, oh, there I am.
Yeah.
Hi. It's nice to be back.
Oh, totally. You have to make it work for your own sanity. One of my favorite mom moments is like one of the first gigs after I had Sis, we went to the Hookie Lounge together in Fort Lauderdale and I was still pumping.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I remember our refrigerator broke and I had like 80 gallons of breast milk in there. And we were like, ah! And we went down to the restaurant and you were like, you have to put this in your refrigerator. And they did.
Yeah. Well, I just remember too, because I breastfed for almost 2 years and just all of a sudden you could start feeling, you're like, wow, well, they're looking very nice.
Yeah.
But you're just like, is this going to leak?
Oh my God. Oh, totally. Oh, I pumped in so many dressing rooms.
Just the things that you do when you're a mom, like the extra little on the fly, like making it work.
And you have to, and you learn how to do that. So it's much like, and I always say to people, like having a kid is like showbiz. It's just chaos.
Oh, for sure. It really, and it is the thing of always trying to keep their attention on that high level because you never want to let them get bored because then you're in trouble. But you say it's like, oh, hey, bait and switch.
Oh, totally.
Look over here.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I'm like.
That's exciting.
I'm a clown 24 hours a day.
Exactly.
So you've had this amazing life. You have this amazing family. Looking at it now, like what are your like favorite career highlights? Like what is like the things that you really like snuggle up and smile about at night?
Oh, wow. It's hard to really put things into just like one thing. For me, a big highlight was Cabaret New Burlesque. So when a French producer, Kitty Hartle, came to Teaserama in, I think it was a 2003, the only one that was in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And she was scouting to put together an American troupe for France. So to me, that's one of the highlights because it was rock star treatment. Yeah. They did everything. They did the venues. They put us on a plane. We had our own private buses. We had it was full rock star treatment. So that was a big highlight. And that was also the first time I ever went outside of America. So, and then from that, when all of that ended, that gave me like the momentum to keep it going. Like I didn't know anything about booking tours or things like that. And so once that ended, I had European producers contacting me and like, hey, can you do a show? And I realized I could start booking my own tours from on the back of other people bringing me over to Europe. So I learned how to become my own tour manager and travel agent and all of that. So I think all of that, just, the Cabaret New Burlesque and what it did for my career and for myself, because it gave me the itch to travel to Europe. That's my favorite thing, is the travel and to meeting new people and being in new countries and trying to communicate without the language. And all of that, those are the highlights for me, is just the strangeness of it all, or finding yourself having to use hand movements
Yeah.
and being alone and what am I supposed to do here? I don't know. That's a big highlight. Exotic World is a huge highlight. That's a big moment of Dixie and being at the ranch. It was so surreal, just the way she decorated and the museum that she had there. Everything was tangible. You could touch everything, I mean, it's horrifying if you're trying to preserve it all.
Right.
Like, oh my God, you could touch this and sit on Jay Mansfield's couch and play with things. But being there, you just felt alive. You kind of felt that energy from the past and you could feel the connection. And I think that just really gave anybody who went to the ranch that energy to keep it going and to make what you were doing even brighter, because there was this tangible history and this lady, Dixie Evans, who would talk up these amazing stories. So that's a highlight. And doing the Cramps video and Rob Zombie, things like that.
So you've had so many amazing opportunities, and I don't want to say that burlesque provided them, because I think you provide your own opportunity, but it's so once we can all go out again, what is next for Kitten De Ville?
Well, we do have the Teenage Werewolf Tour. We already rebooked it.
Oh, that's great.
So hopefully there's no second wave of this pandemic. We are scheduled to do the UK tour. I believe it'll start December 21st through early January. So we've got a whole UK tour scheduled.
They got plenty of time for...
Yes, to learning drums and...
You could do it, Kim.
I keep saying that, I've got to keep practicing, and I have all this time on my hands now. But
when you're drumming, when you're in the band, you're burlesquing as well? You are, right? You're grinding and shaking. And...
Which is, so I realize all my rhythm is in my ass or in my body.
As it should
I have
be.
no rhythm at all in my hands. If I have to think about it, I have no rhythm at all. I can't find it. I can't clap my hands, I feel like, to a rhythm sometimes.
You can't think about it. Don't think about it.
I can dance.
Yeah.
I know.
Just don't think about
it. It drives me crazy. Yeah.
You can't think about it. That's when
I'm
the connection
having a lot of fun doing it, but I don't know if the real musicians around me are enjoying it. But it's fun, and it's good. I think I'm all right.
Yeah, I think you're all right. I think the real musicians are all right too.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Kitten, I love you to the moon and back, and I miss you.
I miss you too. I've got to get out to New York.
Yeah.
That's a goal. That, other than this upcoming tour, maybe on my way back, we can hit New York and
totally.
make that a stop.
Well, you guys know you always have a place to stay. I've upgraded from an air mattress.
Oh my God. Yeah. Always such great fun hanging out with you.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode, everybody. I had such a great time talking to my West Coast sister, the one and only Kitten De Ville. And if you need more kitten in your life, which who doesn't, you can follow her on Instagram at Kitten De Ville. And you can also follow me at Angie Pontani. Don't forget to click subscribe and tune in next week, because we are going to be serving up center stage new guests, new stories, and new perspectives. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm signing out with a big old tassel twirl.
This has been a Giant Panda King production. You can find us at giantpandaking.com and on Instagram at giantpandaking.